Hi, I'm Dave Vickers and welcome to the Photo Show. In today's episode, we're taking a look at Canon's new flagship model, the 1DX Mark III. Canon have got the jump on Nikon by announcing the launch of their new flagship model, the 1DX Mark III. Nikon aren't even expected to announce the D6 until sometime in February this year. Body-wise, the 1DX Mark III is very similar to the Mark II, except for a couple of small changes which we'll take a look at in a while. Now, the 1DX Mark III has a brand new 20.1 megapixel full frame sensor, and Canon have coupled this with their latest Digic X processor. The maximum shutter speed on the 1DX is 1/8000th of a second, and it'll shoot at 16 frames per second if you're using the optical viewfinder, but if you switch over to live view, it'll actually shoot at 20 frames per second. Now, this is an amazing frame rate, but with the 1DX Mark III being aimed firmly at professional sports photographers, I'm wondering how many of those are going to want to shoot using the rear screen to gain the extra 4 frames per second. But that said, the maximum frame rate is 16 frames per second using the optical viewfinder and 20 frames per second if you're using the rear live screen. As with all Canons, the autofocus on this camera is exceptional. The 1DX has Canon's dual pixel autofocus system and offers 191 autofocus points. The autofocus points are now arranged in a grid style system, which is going to make picking an autofocus point much easier. The autofocus has subject tracking, and it also has an intelligent learning feature which allows the autofocus to track subjects with more accuracy than ever before. Sticking with the autofocus, on the rear of the camera, the AF on button now incorporates a tiny little tracking pad that allows you to move the autofocus points simply by moving your thumb across the pad. ISO range on the 1DX Mark III is ISO 100 to ISO 102,400. On the rear of the camera is a 3.2 inch fixed touchscreen, and this allows function operation as well as menu control. The 1DX Mark III has dual CF Express card slots, which will allow for faster data transfer. And coupled with the new Digic X processor, the 1DX Mark III will shoot over 1,000 RAW plus JPEG files before it hits the buffer. One of the most interesting innovations on the 1DX Mark III is it now incorporates the HEIF file format. HEIF stands for High Efficiency Image Format, and it allows images to be captured in 10-bit colour rather than the 8-bit available in JPEG. In addition to that, it has a compression rate double that of JPEG. This means you're recording higher quality images in a file that's half the size of that of a JPEG. Video on the 1DX Mark III is available in 4K at up to 60 frames per second, and it can also capture 5.5K internally as well. Being aimed at the professional sports photographer, the 1DX Mark III has great connectivity. It has built-in Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, as well as an extendable Wi-Fi range by using an additional Wi-Fi unit. Both Canon and Nikon needed to release their flagship cameras this year. It's an Olympic year, and the Olympics are taking place in Tokyo. And with both Canon and Nikon being Japanese companies, they're going to want the photographers working at the Olympics to have the best models available for them to use. Price-wise, now, the 1DX Mark III is a top-of-the-range professional DSLR camera, so it's not going to be cheap. The price is £6,400 or $6,499 for the body only. But that said, yes, it's expensive, but this is possibly the best DSLR that's been made to date. We'll have to wait and see how it compares to the D6 when it comes out, but with the Canon 1DX Mark III, this at the moment is the pinnacle of DSLR cameras. So there we go, that concludes our look at Canon's latest offering, the 1DX Mark III. What do you think? What do you think of the specifications, and what do you think of some of the things that Canon have incorporated in this camera? Also, what will Nikon have to do with the D6 to come close to what Canon have just produced? Let me know in the comments below, I'd really love to hear what you have to say. For now, I'm Dave Vickers, this is The Photo Show, thanks for watching, see you next time.